And for those of you in the front, do you see the dark area right there where the bone is? Can you guys see that? Do you see something that's changed? It's smaller. It's smaller, and that's osteoporosis. And that's no surprise, because what are muscles attached to? Muscles are attached to bone. That's right. So if you have smaller muscles, there's less pull on the bone. And the bone says, well, I don't need to be any stronger, so I'm getting smaller. So that's osteoporosis. Two are related. So, have you ever wondered why the internal medicine doctor sees the same diseases in the same person? They're related, that's right. High blood pressure, hyperlipidemia, or high fats in the blood, diabetes, all these diseases up here, including a good chunk of breast and colon cancer, are all related to the same process. The same process is insulin resistance and related to loss of muscle. Now, isn't that crazy? I think it's absolutely crazy, is that we have a disease process here which is caused by loss of muscle, and we don't treat it. That's fundamentally wrong. Do you agree with me? Since when have you been to your doctor and he says, well, you have insulin resistance, you have muscle atrophy, you need to do something about it? So what used to be the disease of kings, because kings don't have, people do things for the kings, now is the disease of the common person. These metabolic diseases are the result of unchallenged muscle. So, the treatment here is a prescribed, just like a doctor writes a prescription for you, prescribed medicine, which is exercise training. The best exercise is that which is individualized for you. It's not for someone else. It's like a doctor writing a script, and he says, well, I'm going to write you a prescription, and let's see what the pharmacist gives you how many milligrams. No, he doesn't do that, right? They give you the right number of milligrams for you. The goal here is to restore muscle, or restore muscle metabolism. Metabolic exercise training. Metabolic exercise training is different than other types of exercise training. It's to restore the large muscles and their sensitivity to glucose and to fats. And it's progressively challenging. I see a lot of exercise programs, it's a one-size-fits-all. And that's not the type that's going to make you continuously better. So, I want to change gears and talk a little about, because many of you would say, well, you know, Dr. Shang, I'm older now, I'm in my second half of life, I've never been to a gym, my joints hurts. What are you talking about? Well, look at this guy, Bruce Jenner here. Bruce Jenner, I looked it up, he's 69 years old, right? Bruce Jenner has lost muscle. He can't be, just like we can't be, in his 1976 days winning the Olympic decathlon. We can't be ourselves in our 20s. That's not the point of training. The point of training is not for us to go out and play college ball. Many of us were never like that. I was never like that. The purpose of being in a training program is like this. You have grandchildren who play high school ball, college ball, right? They have coaches, they have trainers. The purpose of them is to guide you. The purpose of being on a team is that you have team spirit. So when they lose a game, the teammates say, hey, you know, got the next one. Or, I know we didn't play that well, but you know, you and I, we can get together, we can play better. That's the purpose of being on a team. And that's why being part of a training program is so important, because we can't always be feeling good about ourselves every single day. Here's another thing. How many of you know this? Diabetic drugs do not stop diabetes. They manage the disease. Okay? If you take diabetes drugs, what happens is, over time, the dose will increase, there will be another one added. That's the natural progression of this disease. If you want to treat diabetes, you have to treat it at a fundamental level. The fundamental level is treating sarcopenia. Starting a good habit. Let me talk about bad habits. Everyone, we can all agree smoking is a bad habit, right? If you went to see a doctor Doctor says, you know, Bill, you smoke. Just quit smoking, I'll see you in 3 months. That's it. It's laughable. It's absolutely laughable. That's what we do. We say, hey, you know, you need to exercise. Here's a Fitbit. Go at it. We need to take our best game to treat this deadly disease. We don't do that for diabetes. I find it utterly bizarre. We know the best treatment. We don't do that. So I want to shift gears and let's talk about the physiology. Some of this, you think science, oh, well, eyes glaze over, but I'm going to keep it simple. So, we actually have 2 types of muscle fiber in every single muscle in our body, with the exception of vocal cords and eye muscles. Some people can jabber on forever. There's no strength in talking. So, we have muscle fiber for stamina and a muscle fiber for strength. There are 2 types of muscle fiber. And one is aging resistant. One which is aging resistant is the one which has stamina. And I'll explain to you in a moment why that's the case. The one that's aging sensitive, the one that leads to sarcopenia, is the one for strength. Okay? It's that simple. So, the one for stamina, you train it with aerobic exercise. The one for strength, you train it with resistance exercise. 2 different fiber types, 2 different types of exercise. Got it? The 2 muscle fibers use 2 different types of fuel. Glucose as the main fuel for strength, and fat for the main source of fuel for stamina. What is the primary problem in diabetes? Glucose management, right? Is it any wonder when we don't train our strength fibers, we have glucose problems? So, the last thing I want to mention here is basal metabolic rate. Basal metabolic rate is determined by how much muscle you have. You increase your basal metabolic rate by increasing your muscle fiber. It's the easiest way to lose weight. Doing it through aerobic exercise is the hard way of doing it. So, I think you remember Ron starting, he said I did autopsies for 3 New York State counties. This is what the muscle of someone who is diabetic looks like. This is actually a pretty expensive cut of meat, but it is not a good cut of meat to have inside your body. This type of muscle cannot burn fat, it cannot burn glucose. This is, I took a picture of this. This is venison, actually. This guy gets lots of exercise, right? He's out prancing around, eating your geraniums, my bushes, but he gets lots of exercise. This can burn anything, and the deer, as you know, is a very lively creature. So, muscle quality and quantity are changed by exercise. You change this, you can change that trajectory. So what is resistance exercise? This is not resistance exercise. Okay, so I want to just take a moment. If I got, see, this is a real quick one, get you out of your seats. I need 5 volunteers, I'll take 6, for a real quick 3-minute demonstration. Just come on up here, please. I'm not going to hang you. All right. All right. So, okay, stand behind this line here.
Stand behind.
All right. There we go. Thank you. Okay, stand behind this line. Make it go. Stand behind. Very good. I need one or two. One or two. Just stay behind the line. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, we need, did you need 6?
5 or 6.
Okay,
5 or 6. All right. All right, very good. All right, now, pick up the rope, please. All right, now, everyone see them back there? Okay. We're going to pretend each one of you is a muscle fiber. Okay? Now, I want you to pretend you are a muscle fiber and you're walking. Okay? Now, I want you to gently pull, don't pull me over here. How do you think the the muscle is using you guys. So pretend like you're up there. How would you pull? How would you pull?
Resistance.
That's right. Okay, stop. Stop. Okay, relax. Okay, that's good because you guys did it wrong. Okay. So the way it works in muscle is that I'm going to come here. Maybe up to here. You two were working. You four were not working. Okay? That's how it works. When you do a low resistance exercise, you do aerobic exercise, the guys, the muscle fibers who are stamina type, those are the ones doing the work. These guys didn't do any work at all. They didn't do any work. Okay? So, what happens if you walk up the stairs? Let's see what happens. Okay, sorry, that's still wrong. Okay. Okay, so when we need a little bit more power to walk upstairs, you get engaged now. 3 of us. These 3 guys are working. You 3 are still not working. Okay? So what happens when the 3 of you in the back don't do any work? This is what happens. You guys are standing around. You're not doing any work. The anaerobic fibers, the 3 in the back, didn't do any work. Now, I'm sorry to tell you this. What happens when the body sees that you 3 aren't doing any work? This is what happens. Okay. All right. All right, let's give them all a hand. Thanks very much. Okay. So, that's why stamina fibers are aging resistant, because they get used more often. And if you think about your daily life, how many times are you using these guys? How many? Not as often. I would say almost never. Almost never. Because this guy at the end who's just dropped off, he never gets called to action. In order for these guys to stay alive and well, you've got to use them. It's use it or lose it. So that's why you need resistance training. Okay. So what is resistance exercise? It's these guys, okay? And for everybody in this room, there is an exercise. There's no shame in starting pull exercises. Pull exercises are great if you haven't done any resistance exercise, because it's soft and easy on the joints. Body weight exercise is a little bit more challenging. In fact, if you graduate from pull exercise, body weight exercise is the next way to go, and going all the way up here. And Laura Clary is going to help us demonstrate that in our breakout session. So this is just a summary slide, okay? Type 1 exercise, that's a stamina. We do endurance type exercise. Those are aerobic. And we have many repetitions. So the way you think about that is if you're walking, you're doing lots and lots and lots of low resistance contractions, right? Type 2, or the strength, is resistance, and you do very few of those. You need both types of exercise because you have both 2 types of muscle fiber. Okay, got that? Okay. So, the ADA has an exercise recommendation, and it's just that. Now, when I ask doctors, my colleagues, what do you tell the diabetics in your practice, or the pre-diabetics? They mostly respond with this: 150 minutes a week, sometimes up to 300 minutes a week of exercise. Now, how many of you, I'm just taking a survey, I won't beat up your doctors, how many of your doctors tell you you have to do this? This is the ADA recommendation of resistance exercise twice a week. Can I see a show of hands? That's really great. 2. That's a lot more than I usually get. That is the ADA recommendation of exercise for diabetics. And that's the reason. We've talked about the reason now. So that's what's fundamentally wrong with how we treat diabetes. Okay, so there's been many studies that have been done. These studies have shown and been the basis for us producing the best optimal treatment for diabetes with exercise. Every single